video, we are going to study that how can we find out the volumes with the cross section. Now, before we go, first of all, try to understand some of the formulas of the cross section in order to find the volume of the cross section. So when you are asked to find the volume of the solid cross section, um, when the cross section is a square, then you have to use the formula A equals to S square. Now, what is S? S are the sides. But when it is enclosed by the two functions, that is f of x and g of x, then you will look closely into the functions, into the shaded region, and if the shaded region is like that, for example, so you will make it as top minus bottom. Okay, so wherever you have to find out if they are perpendicular to x-axis, you will use the formula top minus bottom. And since the S is the square, so you will take it as top minus bottom whole square. Similarly, rectangle, it's base times height. So again, base is top minus bottom and height is should be given in the formula. So in this way, we will try to find out the area of the cross section. Similarly, to find out the volumes, we also use the same formula, that is square top minus bottom whole square. The most common questions which comes are about the square, about isosceles triangles, semicircle, and the rectangles mostly. But of course, then left only an equilateral triangle. Also memorize the formula for this one. What have you noticed? That outside the constant number, it is changing for different shapes, but inside everywhere it is top minus bottom whole square dx, otherwise right minus left whole square dy. Now look at the question. The base of a solid in the region is enclosed by the semicircle. So this equation is for a semicircle, and the x-axis cross section perpendicular to the x-axis are squares. Now here, don't get upset by looking at this semicircle and don't use the formula of this semicircle to find the cross section. Why? Because they are saying that the cross section of the solid is perpendicular to the x-axis are squares, means the cross section is a square, okay, not the curve is a square. So you have to cut the semicircle so that it is perpendicular to the x-axis and it is a square shape. Okay, so what you will do, you have to write the equation in the form of f of x. Why? Because it is perpendicular to x-axis. So you will write volume equals to, since it is square, okay, so just write the equation, that is 25 minus x square, right here dx. Now there are two ways to find out the upper and lower limit. Remember that x square plus y square equals to r square. It is the equation of circle. Okay, equation of circle. So if I bring the x square on the other side, so I will get y square equals to r square minus x square. If I take the square root on both sides, I will get y equals to r square minus x square. So what is this? This is actually the radius. Okay, so radius, it is the distance from the center to the corner of the circle. So radius, in this case, it is written as 25. So what is the square of the square root of 25? It's plus minus 5. So if you are making a semicircle, so the distance from here till here, if the origin, it is lying on the origin, so on this side, it is the point which is negative 5, and if you go on this side, it will be positive 5. So that would be a semicircle. Even if you go up, it will be a 5. distance from origin to here, wherever you go, it will be 5. But since we are working on the x values, so our x values will be -5 to +5. Write it in the calculator and get the answer. Now, if you feel difficulty in understanding this equation, then what do? You can even make a graph. Make a graph, okay? So, how can we do? It is a semicircle, so make the x and the y values. So the x values will be -5, 0 and 5. You will get 0, 5 and 0. So if you will just sketch the graph, you will get a graph like this. So here the values are -5 and +5, which are lying on the x-axis. So these values you can take it as the upper and the lower limit. Otherwise, it is very easy to understand. So for example, if I have 25 minus, let's suppose I have 9 minus x square. So what is the r square? R square is 9. So what would be the r? It would be plus minus 3. Similarly, if I have 16 minus x square, so 16 minus x square means what is the square root of the 16? It will be plus minus 4. So your point of intersection or the points which will lie on the x-axis will be -4 and +4. Some of the questions which were given from in the past AP Calculus AB examinations. So a graph is given and it is written that a region R is bounded by the graph y equals to x square and y equals to square root of x and forms the base of the solid. For this solid, each cross section is perpendicular to the x-axis, is a square. Find the volume of the solid. Okay, so whenever there is a square, we know that the equation will be written as volume equals to top minus bottom. Here in the square, we don't have to write any pi because the square formula is the area of the square is s square. So we will write only top minus bottom whole square and then dx. And since we are writing here dx, so we will write the limits as x1 and x2. Okay, so here you know that this is the top. It is the top graph, whereas so this one is the top graph, and if you look here, it is actually y equals to root x. So y equals to root x is the top, so it is y equals to root x, whereas the bottom is y equals to x square. Now if you have a problem in understanding, then you can graph it using the graphic calculator to ensure that which equation is on the top and which one will be the bottom curve. Okay, so now in order to find the limits, let's write here. So v equals to top equation minus bottom equation. So top equation is square root x and bottom equation is x square and whole square over here. And here we will write dx. Now we need the points of intersection. Okay, so in order to find the point of intersection, we already have studied that y1 equals to y2. It means the first equation of y, let's see, it is x square. It is equals to the second equation of the y. Now what we are going to do, we can take the square on both sides. Or we can do it other way also. Anyway, we will take the square on both sides. So if we take the square on both sides, we will get x to the power 4 equals to x, because the square and square root will be cancelled out. Bring the x on the other part. So it will be x to the power of 4 minus x equals to 0. Take the common. So x is common. You will get x cube minus 1 equals to 0. One time the factor x equals to 0 and one time the factor x cube minus 1 equals to 0. Bring the 1 on the other side and take the cubic root to take the cubic root to remove this power of 3. So cubic root of 1 is 1. So it is x. So our limits will be from 0 till 1. Now write it in the calculator and get the final answer. Now again, one more thing, that if you have a problem in understanding the question, that which would be the first upper upper graph and which would be the lower graph, then, and you don't have the graphic calculator also, so if you get a positive answer, so it means that your setting of the equation is absolutely correct. But if you get a negative answer, then just interchange the places of the functions, and that's all. Okay, here is a question that a region R is bounded by the graph y equals to x square minus 2 and y equals to 2x minus x square, and forms the base of the solid. For this solid, each cross section is perpendicular to the x-axis is a square. So whenever we talk about the square and perpendicular to the x-axis, we write always for what? Top minus bottom whole square. And here we will write the dx. This is the equation for the volume. So in our case, just assume, okay, just assume that x square minus 2 would be a kind of this graph, y equals to x square minus 2, and minus x square plus 2x. So minus x square plus 2x, if I just write it in a proper way of the quadratic equation, so it will be a kind of this graph. I'm not sure that what would be the point of intersection exactly, but I know that if the x square is positive, then the parabola and the graph opens upward. And if the x square is negative, then it is a parabola, but the graph opens downward. So using this technique, I can see that this graph is on the top, which has a negative x square. Okay, so what I am going to write, first I have the first graph, that is, I am saying according to me, 2x minus x square will be at the top, then minus the bottom will be x square minus 2, and close this and the whole power 2. Since we are writing the equation in the x form, so we have to write here dx, and the point of intersection will be the x values. Now to understand that what would be the point of intersection, we keep the equations, the two equations, equal to each other. What does it mean? That the first y is equals to the second y. So let's see here. You can write it as x square minus 2 equals to 2x minus x square. Now it is a quadratic equation, so the whole equation, all the two sides of the equation should be on one side. So x square minus 2, keep it as it is. Bring the 2x there, so you will get negative 2x. Bring the x square there, you will get plus x square. Now x square plus x square, you will get 2x square minus 2x minus 2 equals to 0. Now here you can factor yourself directly, or you can do it manually. So I feel that at this stage it would be better if you use your calculator mode 5.3, or you go to the graphical calculator and write equation f2 f1, put in the equation 2 negative 2 and then negative 2. So you will have the two answers, that will be x equals to, let me write here, so x equals to 1.618 and x equals to negative 0.618. Okay, So if you write this, you will get these two answers. Now these will be your limits. So at the bottom, you will write the smaller limit, that is negative 0.618, and on the top you will write 1.618. Now what we said previously, that write this whole equation directly in the calculator to get the final answer. So write it in the calculator and get the final answer, but do not forget to put the power 2 at the proper place. So pause the video and try to solve it yourself. Get the answer to ensure that your answer is absolutely correct. Make sure that you write the limits properly and also the equations properly in a correct way. So the answer is 7.453. So the volume is 7.4535. Now if we have to round off to three significant figures, so here 3 will be extended and it will be 7.454. That would be your approximate volume. Now 100 times I already told you that if you do not understand, then only if the volume is negative you interchange the places of the functions if it is required. Now in this question they are saying, let R be the region in the first quadrant bounded by a graph y equals to 4 ln of 3 minus x and the line y equals to 6 and the vertical line x equals to 2. So you can see that this is y equals to 6 horizontal line, x equals to 2 is a vertical line, and of course this would be the leftover, that would be the equation of the curve. They are asking you to find the solid find the volume of the cross section that is perpendicular to the x-axis is a square. So you already know that for the volume of the square is top minus bottom whole square, and the equation should be written in the form of d of x. D of x means that y equals to something. Okay, so now you can see that the top is this one and the bottom is this one. So top is y equals to 6. So we will write here y equals to 6 minus now the bottom equation. The bottom equation is 4 ln of 3 minus x, and whole power to and write down now dx. Now what are the x values or the point of intersections? Are from 0 till 2. Now write it in the calculator and get the answer. Again, the answer should be positive. And I know you know already that if you don't get the answer positive, what you have to do? The only one thing, interchange the places of the equations. Next question. So again the same thing. So f of x is given, g of x is given, a graph is given, and they are asking you that the cross section is perpendicular to the x-axis is a square. So again, whenever x-axis is a square, the equation should be written in the x form, y equals to fx form, top minus bottom whole square. And since we have to find out the volume, so upper minus lower or top minus bottom whole square. Now main thing is that how to figure out that which one is the top and which one is the below. So look at this one. This is starting from the 4 and we know that the 4 cos x, if it is a parent function, even if 1 over 4 pi is not written, so it has to start from the 4. And 2x square, so 2x square shows that it is a quadratic equation, parabola that opens upward. So using these two main important concepts, we can understand that g of x is on the top whereas f of x is written at the bottom. Now we can write here g of x minus f of x whole square, and since here d of x. Now our point of intersections should be also from 0 till 2. Now we can write down the equations, okay, before writing in the calculator. So g of x, we will write 4 cosine 1 over 4 pi x minus f of x should be written in the power in the bracket because it's a complete equation. 6x plus 4, close the bracket, big bracket, and put the power 2 and dx. Write it in the calculator. Make sure your answer is a positive answer. So in the next question, again they are asking you that the cross section is perpendicular to y-axis is a square, not x-axis, y-axis. Whenever it is a y-axis, we know that the equation should be written in the form of x equals to f of y. So the first equation is square root x. Write it in the form of x equals to. So for that reason, you have to take the square on both sides. You will get x equals to y square. For the second equation, y equals to x over 2. Cross multiply and you will get 2y equals to x. Now here already the point of intersections are given to you in the form of y. So no need to waste your time. Now look at this one, y square and one is 2y. So 2y, it means it is a line, right? It's a line. And y square, it means that it should be a parabola. Okay. So whenever we write the volume in the y form or the perpendicular the y-axis, our equation of the volume should be right minus left whole square and dy. Now what is right? This is your right one, right curve, and this is your left curve. Okay, so right curve is a straight line. So we already figured out that this is the equation of the straight line, that is 2y minus what is your left? The left is y square. So put the y square here, whole power 2. You have to write the dy. Now the point of intersections should be the y value. So this is 0 and this y value is 2. So from 0 till 2. Write it in the calculator to get the final answer. Okay, so the two equations are given to us and they are saying that the region R is the base of the solid. Find the volume of the solid if its cross section is perpendicular to x-axis is I square. So very simple, it is top minus bottom. Now what is top, what is bottom? Okay, so top seems to me it is y equals to sine pi x, because I know that the sine values sine graph is a kind of a wave which starts from the 0. So anyway, if I will be wrong, then what do? I will write the one of the equation. If I get a negative answer, then I will interchange the places of the equation. So what right now I will write sine pi x minus x cube minus 4x. Don't forget to put the power 2 over here. Write the dx. Now the points of intersection according to the x values will be 0 till 2. Write in the calculator to get the final answer. So in this question they are saying that two curves are given, equation of two curves are given to us, and they are asking that to find the volume of the solid so that each cross section is perpendicular to the x-axis are semicircles. We know to find out the volume of the semicircle, it should be pi over 8 top minus bottom whole square and dx. Now we need to find out the point of intersection. For that reason, we have to keep the equations equal to each other. So 20 over 1 plus x square equals to 2. cross multiply, and in the cross multiply we can bring the 1 plus x square on the top and 2 at the bottom. So we will get 20 by 2 equals to 1 plus x square. 20 divided by 2 gives us 10 equals to 1 plus x square. Bring the 1 on the other side, so you will get negative 1, and 10 minus 1 is 9 equals to x square. Take the square root on both sides and our answers will be plus minus 3. So for the volume, it will be pi over 8 from negative 3 till positive 3. Now we will you can make sure that whatever the equations you are writing are correct. It means the equations that you are writing, you should know that what could be on the top and what could be at the bottom. And we know that if we cannot visualize, we don't have the calculator. So in that case, look at this one. If I visualize 20 divided by 1 plus x square. Okay, so that could be an equation. Something like that. Okay, or y equals to 2 would be over here. Y equals to 2 could be like this. So in that case, or it could be like this, or it could be like this, yani something like that. So I can figure out that plus minus 3 line will be on the top and the circle will be at the bottom. But this is not, even if I don't have the calculator, I will write one function first and the other function afterwards. I will put the power 2 here. And if I get a positive answer, then I will keep this setting as it is. If I get a negative answer, I will interchange the places of these two functions to ensure that my answer is absolutely correct. But do not forget to put this pi over 8. Now let R be the region. R be the region with the base of the solid bounded by the graph, and the two curves are given, y equals to x square and y equals to x plus 2. For the solid, each cross section is perpendicular to the x-axis, are isosceles triangles. So we already have seen before that to find out the formula of volume of the cross section, if they are perpendicular to the x-axis, are isosceles, so top minus bottom whole square. But for the isosceles, outside constant is 1 over 4. First of all, find out the point of intersection. To find out the point of intersection, we keep the two equations equals to each other. Since it is a quadratic equation, bring the whole equation on the other side. Make it equals to 0. Now solve for x. You can factor it, or you can go to the calculator directly and factorize or find the value of x. So in our case, it will be positive 2 and negative 1. So these are the limits. So we will write v equals to 1 over 4. The lower number is smaller number on the bottom and at the bottom, and the bigger number at the top. What is the top and what is bottom? Remember that x square looks like a parabola and x plus 2 looks like a line. So if I visualize the graph, even I am not creating the graph by scale, but if I visualize, I know that the line is on the top and the parabola is at the bottom. So what I will write? So line, that is x plus 2 minus x square and whole square. Don't forget to put the square at the end, and dx definitely. Write it in the calculator, get the answer. Now I said before also that some of the students, they cannot visualize, or they under the pressure they cannot work on these examples. So what do? That if we get a negative answer, we just interchange the places of the function so that we will get the positive answer. Volume or area in the worked examples cannot be negative. In this question, they are saying that the graph y equals to 2 square root x, y equals to 6, and the y-axis are shown in the figure. Now here is the graph. They are saying that y should be greater equal to 0 here and should be less than and equals to 6. The cross section of the solid should be perpendicular to y-axis. So if this is y, so perpendicular to y-axis means like this. It means it could be like that. Okay. And whose height is 3 times the length of its base. Okay. And find the volume of the solid. So first of all, you should know that it is volume is equals to what? For the volume, it is height times base times length, right? So base times height, area, right? So area is base times height. And the base should be, so now what is the base? Okay, so what is the base? If we go from all the way from here to here, so it should be written in the form of y-axis, right? So it has to be right like this. So it should be written in the form of x equals to f of x. So it will be y equals to 2 square root x, solve for x. So divide both sides by the 2. So we will get root x equals to y over 2. If we take the square on both sides, we will get y square over 4 equals to x. So our base is actually y square over 4. Okay. And what is our height? Our height is 3 times the length of its base. So our height is 3 times. So 3 times the length of its base, and the base we already know, y square over 4. What is this? This is actually the area. So now what do we get? We get 3y square. So 3y to the power of 4, y square times y square gives us y power 4, divided by 4 times 4 gives us 16. Okay, so now what we will do? We will make it the equation. Write here the dy, put here the volume, and our basis in terms of the y, it's from 0 till 6. From 0 till 6, and now this is our answer. Okay. Now in this question they are asked, they gave you the two equations and they ask you to find the cross section of the solid taken perpendicular to the y-axis is a rectangle. Now you know the formula of the rectangle, it is base into height. Okay, and it is find the volume of the solid whose height is 2y. So the height is actually 2y. Now what would be the base we have to understand? So the base, we know it is top minus bottom. But in our case, they are asking us that this is perpendicular to y-axis. It means the equation should be written in the form of x equals to f of y. So look at the first equation, which is f of x equals to root x. It means y equals to root x. If we take the square on both sides, we will get x equals to y square. The second equation, they are saying y equals to 6 minus x. Bring the negative x on both sides to make it positive. So that way the y will go on the other side. 6 stay at its place. So though two equations are here, in order to find the base, it is right minus left. So our right is an equation, is a line. It means it is 6 minus y minus what is the other other graph, that is y square. X equals to y square. So minus y square. Integral sign, it would be, now what are the limits? From 0 till 2. The y value is 2. The point of intersection from 0 till 2. Don't forget to put the dy. And then what do we write? We will write dy. That's all. This is how we will find out the volume of a rectangle.